So here we are. After we cut down those trees, we noticed that there was this one area that apparently a previous owner must have had a garden. So they had some plastic down, which we took off today. And we happened to casually mention it to our neighbor. And then about 5 minutes later, this is what happens. Mr. OSHA himself here. We'll have to see what he does. He's pulled out some rocks. There's a big rock. I'm not sure if you can really see it. It's kind of in front of his machine there. So, yeah. So this is what we're doing. This is how we spend Saturday night on the homestead.
Yo, Steve!
I'm busy.
There's the chicken coop. There's Jody. There's the barn. Whoa. There's the bobcat.
Look at me. Bump. We're almost back. But you're strangling me a little.
For the girls, we only feed them Skinny Pop because, you know, the girls, we have to watch their figures. They love popcorn. Girls, you want some popcorn? All right, so today is transplant day. So we are working here in some of the raised beds and we are moving all of our raspberries. We have 3 different types, and so we had them in some previous beds that were not ideal, and we were having a lot of problems with the growth of the grass around them and into them. So we've decided to move them into our raised beds like this. Okay, so you can see here, this is one of the round beds that we're using for our raspberries. And Sean's putting in some wood at the bottom. It's something that the manufacturer recommends. So these are really tall, and if we didn't do something like that, it would take a lot of soil in order to fill these beds. So we're trying to kind of beef them up a little bit, and then we're adding all different types of soil, peat moss, fertilizer, things like that, in order to get everything situated in there and give them a good start after the transplant. And you can see over in this bed, we've already put them in there. These are ones that we already dug out of our previous beds. And then this one as well. And if you look over there in the back, to the left of the white beds, you can see the previous area that we had them in. So we're working slowly to try to get these all squared away, and we'll get them growing, and they are really wonderful raspberries. And you can see we're adding some peat moss. So what that does, it loosens up the soil so it's not so hard, and it's great for the roots to be able to grow through because it makes it real light and airy.
All right, so we're adding the peat moss, and like what Jody said before, it helps to keep the roots loose. Also, peat moss is very acidic, and raspberry, blueberries, all your berry plants love the acidity, so you get a two-for deal with that.
And so you can see here, so we have the 3 beds that are going to have all the different raspberries in it. The thing also with raspberries is that they kind of multiply themselves. So we started with just a very few number of plants, and they kind of tunnel underground or through your bed, and they'll come up with new growth. So it's really good because they kind of just reproduce themselves.
And we put down this tarp so that they don't tunnel under this bed into the grass and just start multiplying everywhere, which is what the mess we have down there. And Jody will take you down there and show you that mess.
Okay, so this is the mess that we're trying to clean up. You can kind of see these back 2 beds there. The very far one has our blackberries, and then that last one, the second to last one, has the last of the raspberries that we're working on digging out. But this is kind of the aftermath of taking out the old ones. So we're working on digging all that up, getting that cleaned up, and hopefully getting this all back to grass. Now you can see some of that black garden fabric that we have down here. We did have some previous raised beds back here, but they weren't really working out. They weren't big enough for what we needed to do. And this little tub here has a couple strawberry plants that survived. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that yet. But this is our main project for today. Hopefully getting all of these cleaned up, salvage as many of the raspberries as we can. And if you've never had a fresh off the vine raspberry, oh, you're missing out. It is the most amazing thing ever.
All right, so Jody and I kind of trimmed the tips that were too thin. The thinner canes, they don't really produce nice fruit. So we went through, trimmed it up, got rid of the 3rd year, which is the dead canes. So I think now we're about ready to try to pull this root ball out of the ground. So like she was saying, one of the raspberries that we transplanted already, nice big purple, very juicy, sweet raspberries. And the way those ones work is they'll shoot up a cane, and then the first year, the top half of the cane will produce a massive amount of berries. And then, come spring, the 2nd year, you cut the top off, and then the bottom part will fruit on the 2nd year. And at the end of that year, that cane's dead. And in the meantime, you have new canes coming up for the top half while you're harvesting the 2nd half. This particular one, just like the blackberry, this one here is a blackberry, we got to get in there. We've neglected these for a year or two. So like the blackberry, 1st year cane shoots up, it's all growth 1st year, and then the 2nd year it's all fruit. So this kind of has really big purple raspberries as well. They're very sweet, delicious. We'll make sure we videotape that when they're actually have fruit on them. And same with the blackberries. So we got to get in there. That's all second year growth, and there's a lot of dead ones in there too. So we'll get to that today as well. So right now we're going to try and transplant it into one of those really nice beds that we just made up there. I'm going to try and get as much as the root ball as I can. I'm going to go all the way around this, trying to get up as much as I can. You know, with pruning a lot of the tops of some of these canes and getting rid of really thin ones, because the thin canes really don't produce, and all they do is take a lot of energy from the plant. So, you know, with getting rid of some of the foliage, that'll help the plant, you know. There are thorns on this, so we'll have to see how this comes over. All right, so I'm thinking right about there. I didn't fill this bed all the way to the top as of yet, because I think I'm gonna just set it in there like that, pull out a bunch of the dead grass and leaves that are still in there. And if you look down close here, you can see we're already starting to get a lot of new growth. Those are going to be all new canes that'll grow through this for next year while we're harvesting these canes that are already here. So I did take my time, and you can see I did get a lot of the root system, which is good. So hopefully this plant won't be too traumatized. I know I say a plant, but I mean they're canes. So hopefully.
2 very boring minutes later.
What I'll do is I'll just pick you up. You want my knife to cut it, or?